Are you ready for a new adventure? Time to travel back in time, let's go! Are you ready for a new adventure? Let's learn about the past with Anna and Leo.
Hi friends! Welcome to Unlock This, a podcast from Honest History, where we join our friends Anna, Leo, and Percy on adventures through time and uncover some really cool stories along the way. My name is William. I'm 6 years old, and I love learning about history, especially new stories that I don't hear about in school. I can't wait for today's story, and I think you're gonna love it too. So let's dive in.
Leo, look who's here!
Maya, I didn't know you were coming to the vault today. This is great because I wanted to show you something. Whoa, it's a remote-controlled car. I borrowed it from one of my friends. We like to race them around his backyard. Look how fast it can go.
Leo, that remote in your hand, that's what you're using to make the car stop and go, right?
That's right. I can also use this remote to turn the car left and right. And look, I can even turn on the headlights. I'm glad you're here, Maya, because I wanted to ask you if you know how these cars work.
Well, I know that remote-controlled cars wouldn't exist today without two very important discoveries: batteries and radio waves. And it took many different scientists and inventions to make the very first remote-controlled car.
Do you think it would be fun to learn about those inventions? Maybe that's what we can do today.
That sounds like a great idea to me. What do you think, Leo?
I definitely want to learn more about RC cars and how they were invented.
RC cars?
RC stands for remote controlled or radio controlled.
Well, I want to learn more about RC cars too. Let's go inside the museum and find Percy. Percy, you're right here. We thought we would learn about RC cars today. Is there anything in the vault about them?
Let's follow him inside.
I think Percy wants us to open this cabinet. I wonder what's in there.
What do you see?
It looks like a small tower of metal. Is it some kind of decoration?
I think it might be a machine. It's made up of all these metal discs that are stacked on top of each other. Oh, I've seen this before, but I'm trying to remember what it does.
Anna, Maya, Percy wants us to see this too.
What is it, Leo?
It's an old scientific journal from 1898, and there's a story in it about Nikola Tesla.
The famous scientist.
And look at this. It's some kind of old toy car. There's a miniature person inside.
So, Percy has shown us 3 different things today. A stack of metal discs, a journal about Nikola Tesla, and an old toy car.
And you know what that means, Anna.
We're gonna travel to 3 different places today. Get ready, Maya. Here we go!
I think we've arrived. Does this look familiar to you, Maya?
It looks like some kind of laboratory, but it's definitely an old laboratory. Some of these tools and books look like they should be in a museum.
I wonder what time we've traveled to.
There are sheets of paper on this table. It looks like someone has been writing on them. There's a lot of numbers.
Those are equations. Whoever wrote that on paper must be a scientist.
There are dates on some of those pages, too. This one says 1799. Maybe we traveled back to 1799.
Do you hear that? I think someone is coming.
A man just walked in. He started working at that table over there. Let's get closer.
It looks like he's building something. He's soaking pieces of fabric in that liquid over there.
Percy said that liquid is brine, which is water with a lot of salt in it.
And now he's putting the fabric between those small metal discs.
He's stacking the discs and fabric on top of each other.
I wish I knew what he was building.
Percy, can you tell us who that man is? Maybe that will help us. Percy said that man is Alessandro Volta.
Volta, yes! I know who he is. He's a famous Italian scientist. Do you know what a volt is?
It has to do with electricity, right?
That's right. A volt is used to measure electricity. And it was named after that man right there.
So Alessandro Volta was a scientist of electricity?
He was, and he made some very important discoveries. He was born in the 18th century, and during that time, scientists were just starting to understand electricity.
When Volta was alive, people didn't have things like electric lights, right?
That's right. People burned candles or oil lamps to light their homes. By the early 19th century, scientists were still trying to figure out where electricity came from. In fact, many of them believed that electricity could only come from living things like animals. They called this animal electricity.
Really? I guess when I think of electricity, I usually think of machines, like a giant power station that makes electricity.
Scientists hadn't invented those yet. During Volta's time, there was a scientist named Luigi Galvani. He experimented with electricity using frogs. During one of these experiments, he discovered he could make a frog leg twitch if he touched it with metal, even when the frog wasn't alive.
So even though the frog was dead, Galvani was able to make its legs move because of electricity?
Yes, and because of this, he said that electricity came from the frog. But Volta thought electricity had more to do with the metal Galvani was using rather than the frog, and he wanted to prove it.
How did Volta do that?
He began experimenting with metal. He realized that he felt a bit of a tingle from certain metals when they were wet. So he took a bunch of small metal discs and placed pieces of wet cloth between them.
Isn't that what Volta has been building in this lab? Over there, on that table. He's made a stack of metal and wet cloth. And now, it looks like he's attaching a wire to the stack.
And he's touching the wire with his hand.
Ah.
Volta just got a bit of a shock when he touched the wire because that stack of metal discs created an electric current.
So why is this important to the history of RC cars?
Because that stack of discs is considered the very first battery.
So Volta made the first battery. And batteries are used to power RC cars today.
Exactly. Batteries look very different today, but they use the same ideas as Volta's battery. The battery in your remote control car is a tiny power pack that gives it the energy it needs to move.
I never would have guessed the battery in Leo's RC car was inspired by that structure Volta built. And you know, that stack of discs looked exactly like the one we saw in the vault.
You're right, Anna, which means the object we saw in the vault must be one of Volta's batteries.
Hold tight, everyone. It feels like we're about to travel somewhere else.
Hi, friends. Are you enjoying today's episode? I'd like to take a quick break from the story to tell you about another great place to learn about the past. Honest History creates magazines and books for kids that are filled with fun stories and activities that bring history to life. From pirates to spies to great inventions and so much more, you'll learn about interesting people, places, and events from around the world that made history. Created for kids ages 6 through 12, you can sign up and receive new adventures delivered straight to your doorstep every quarter. Just visit honesthistory.co. That's honesthistory.co to sign up today. Oh, and here's a special offer for our podcast listeners. Use code UNLOCKTHIS for 10% off. Again, that special code is UNLOCKTHIS. Okay, let's get back to the story.
I wonder where this is.
It looks like we're in some kind of a room. And there's a crowd of people here, too.
A bunch of them are gathered around that big table over there. Let's get a closer look.
But it's not a table. It's a huge tub of water.
Maya, Do you see that man over there? He's standing by a small box next to the water. It looks like there's a lever on the box.
I know who that man is. That's the scientist Nikola Tesla. He experimented with a lot of wireless electricity. This must be one of the demonstrations. He would often show people his latest inventions to help raise money for his experiments.
So Tesla is about to show all these people something new he's created?
That's what I'm thinking. And it looks like Tesla is about to say something.
Ladies and gentlemen, here is a model of something I've been working on.
Maya, look, there's a small boat floating in the water.
Now watch.
The boat! It's moving all by itself.
The boat has a few batteries on board to power it, and Tesla is controlling the boat using that lever on the box you saw.
How?
Do you see that thing sticking out of the top of the boat? That's an antenna. Tesla is sending radio signals from the box to the antenna to control the boat.
So when Tesla moves the lever on the box, the boat moves too.
Yes, but look at these people around us. They're shocked. They've never seen anything like it. Some of them think that Tesla is controlling the boat with his mind.
Tesla's boat reminds me of your car, Leo. Do RC cars use radio signals to move too?
They do. Remember Leo's remote control? He uses it to send signals to the car telling it which way to go.
Just like Tesla's boat. So, did Tesla create the first radio-controlled toy?
Yes, but toys weren't on people's minds at this time. When Tesla showed the world his boat, people weren't thinking about how they'd like to play with it. They were thinking about how it could be used for war.
Really? But it's just a boat. How can that be dangerous?
Imagine if people could use that box to control a deadly torpedo rather than a small boat.
Well, in that case, it could definitely be used for war.
Yeah, Tesla's invention terrified a lot of people.
Huh. It's interesting to think that people were afraid of his boat. Oh, yeah! Percy reminded me about that journal you found in the vault, Leo.
That's right. There was a story in there about Tesla.
I remember you said there was a journal from 1898. That was the year Tesla demonstrated his boat. So that journal story must be about his radio-controlled boat.
You're right, Maya, because I think we're about to go to our last stop.
Where do you think we've gone this time?
We seem to be in the middle of a road.
Hey, look! There's a crowd of people over there. Let's get closer.
There's a bunch of journalists and photographers here, too.
And it looks like they're taking pictures of that. Anna, look! There's a miniature car driving on the road.
One of the journalists left his notes here. His writing is hard to read, but I think it says Ford. And there's a date, 1954. Do you think we traveled back to 1954?
Yes, we must be at Ford's test track. Ford is a car company. They make regular-sized cars, but in the 1950s, they started to make miniature ones, not to play with or sell, but to test out on their designs.
So when Ford designed a new car, they would build a miniature one first to make sure the design worked?
That's right. It's something car designers still do today, actually.
So you're saying that the first RC cars weren't toys, they were used for testing?
Yep. It's funny. It actually took a long time for companies to start making RC cars. You remember Tesla's boat? Well, after that, scientists started building miniature boats and airplanes. People didn't really start making RC cars until the 1950s, and you couldn't buy them until the 1960s.
Maya, you said this Ford car was only used for testing, but it looks really fun to drive. Do you think Ford ever considered selling it? You know, as a toy so kids could play with it.
I'm not sure, but the designers sure had a lot of fun playing with it. They started driving it all around their building, through the hallways, and into people's offices. Sometimes they drove it onto the street. The security guards would have to stop traffic so the little cars could go safely back to the office.
Hey, I just noticed something. There's a little model of a person inside the Ford car.
Just like the car we saw in the vault.
It is the car we saw in the vault. Look, it's exactly the same.
And it looks like we're back.
You know, I really liked learning about that Ford car. Since there's one here in the vault, do you think we could get it to work? Then we could race it with my RC car.
I have a feeling your car would win that race. The early RC cars didn't go very fast. I think Ford only went 5 miles per hour.
Really? But mine goes 30 miles per hour. Here, I'll show you.
I don't think Percy likes your car very much. He's more of a 5 miles per hour kind of mouse.
Okay, we'll slow it down for you, Percy.
It's funny to think that Leo's RC car uses technology that was invented so long ago. I mean, we traveled all the way back to 1799.
Yep, RC cars have a long history. It took a lot of different scientists and discoveries to create them. And there were many other inventions we didn't learn about today that were part of that history too.
Whoa, maybe we can learn about those on another adventure.
I think that's a great idea.
Welcome back. That sure was a great adventure. I don't know about you, but I'm gonna tell all my friends about this amazing story. That's all for now. But if you want to learn more, be sure to check out my favorite magazine for kids, Honest History. There's a ton of stuff to learn in each issue, and I love the fun activities and questions. Bye! This episode was narrated by Nikki and JoAnn Schinderle and written by Heidi Coburn. The production was read by Robot Pirate Media. To learn more about Honest History, visit us at honesthistory.co and follow for updates on social media.